Dakota News Now presents the Trusted Choice Pigskin Preview.
That music does it to me. Friday night, we're going to hear it again. Believe it or not, it's football season, and we have our first Football Friday this week. I'm Mark Ovanud, back for yet another year.
I am too. I'm Zach Borg. We got lots to talk about in the next half hour of our Pigskin Preview. Our cover shoot, of course, always a fun day when our athletes come together to look good for the camera. And we also get a chance to chat with them about a variety of topics, including just how cool it is to be on the cover of the Pigskin Preview magazine.
Jacob, my older brother, he always says this time was the most special in his entire life, getting to be on this cover and always leading up to his senior year. And he said this was one of the best days of his life, and he told me to enjoy it today.
I was pretty stoked. I was pretty excited to just be a part of this, represent my team, Brandon, and I'm really excited for it.
Oh, I was hyped because I've always wanted, since Caden Burley was on it, the past Canton guy, I've always wanted to be on here. I have it on a goal sheet that I had on my lock screen on my phone, so it's always been a dream of mine to be on the Pigskin Preview.
Talking to some of the coaches that I know, this is a really big thing, a lot bigger than I knew, and it was amazing to hear that I had gotten chosen to be on the cover of it, and very excited.
I mean, just excited. Last year, Aiden Barfus was on here, and I remember looking at the magazine and was like, I want to be on that next year, so just excited.
Oh, I mean, it's an honor to be considered to be one of those guys, but I feel like I'm here more to represent the town and the program than to be here for myself.
And we sure had fun with the guys. Now, those who have watched football in South Dakota and the surrounding regions, Iowa and Minnesota, know how good the high school football has been of late in particular. And to see the number of major college football programs offering these players now makes it very clear the rest of the country is catching on. Zach has more.
Division I football signings in South Dakota used to be a rare sight.
When Nash Hutmacher was coming through Chamberlain, coaches were asking me not to invite him to the combine because they didn't want other schools to find out about him.
Now schools as far out as Texas Tech are routinely mining the state for players like Rapid City Stevens lineman Elias Gillen.
Feels really good. They're just really trying to find the talent even though they have in their backyard. The different age of recruiting has really changed everything. I know there's kids from all over South Dakota that are getting shots more east and the south as well.
And with underclassmen like Brandon Valley's Hudson Parliament and Piers Cooper Terwilliger already getting SEC offers, it begs the question of what happened to make this region draw more Division I recruiting interest. Though there have been advances in training and facilities for athletes, as well as local coaches staying connected after moving on to bigger jobs, Curtis Riggs says it can mostly be traced to social media.
Everyone has a Huddle account. Coaches have immediate access and availability. All the Power 5 schools instantly know as soon as someone gets an offer, then they want to find out who this kid is. Texas Tech is based purely on analytics. Someone like Schlumgen runs an impressive 100-meter dash, and they look at his measurables, then they compare him to the athletes they've had previously, and they offer him. We'll bring them in, and then we'll make them into what we want. Other schools, though, are a little more inclusive, and most of them, they're going to have you come to their camp.
Also adding a spotlight is the success of the state's Division I FCS programs with homegrown players, which may not actually hurt either of them in the long run.
They put it on the kid. You want to come in here, play a little sooner, win, and then maybe look at moving up, but you don't see many kids leave.
That's proving true for SDSU this year.
There's a few kids in this recruiting class with, offers from Michigan State, Texas Tech. The things they do with their players, like team building stuff, and the meals they share is, appealing, just having a family aspect.
Zach Borg, Dakota News Now, Sports.
Up next, one of the state's most electrifying players who also spends time at yet another sport that he's equally passionate about. We'll tell you what that sport is and meet Donovan Rose when we come back.
Dakota News Now presents the Trusted Choice Pigskin Preview.
I just love this story. Sioux Valley's Donovan Rose might be a little smaller in stature, but he plays with a big, huge heart. And boy, is he fun to watch. But that's not the only sport where his fearless attitude is required. He's also a calf and team roper. He loves both, but which is the most challenging?
I'm gonna have to say rodeo because there's so many components to it. Like, there's a lot of components to football, but we're all humans, and you're trying to work with a horse and a calf at the same time, and you're just trying to bring that all together. So that's really hard, and especially if you don't have a pretty sane horse like I do.
So how did this love for rodeo even happen in the first place?
My parents were really big into rodeo, and we have a ranch out in Chamberlain, which really put the farming aspect into it, and then I just incorporated it because I thought it was fun, and I just kept going with it.
He's really good. Again, he's one of those guys that he could probably play chess and be good at it, play hopscotch and be good at it. He's just good at everything. So the rodeo thing just kind of proves that.
So how would you describe yourself as a football player?
Very electric.
Tough?
Yeah, because I'm not very big, as you can tell. I'm not the biggest person on the field, so I got to be pretty tough.
Yes, he is a courageous guy. He's not a big person, which I don't think matters a whole lot, but you know, when you're playing football and there's a lot of big guys out there, and you know, and he's still playing as hard as anybody, that does show that he does have a great deal of courage, and you know, and he's not scared of anything, and he's ready to compete every day in practice and every game, and every rodeo too. He's really shifty, so he gets a lot of credit for his speed and his athleticism, but he's really tough to tackle. In the open field, it's about impossible, so he's about as good as I've ever seen in the open field.
And the Cossacks hope they can rope a state title, which would be extra sweet with Rose leading the way and doing something that he loves with his buddies.
I love this game with all my might. Like, I'll do anything just to play this game. I will do anything.
Yeah, and with Donovan, I think that's a little bit harder than football. Over the years, there have been plenty of players who played on both sides of the ball that we've come to call a jack of all trades. Yet in Canton, they seem to truly have found a master of all positions when it comes to Kane Wallner.
Kane Wallner has a list of things he wants to achieve, such as making the cover of our Pigskin Preview.
I have it on a goal sheet that I had on my lock screen on my phone, so it's always been a dream of mine.
Those playing Canton had best hope he's not checking it twice.
He played safety for us. He made a one-handed interception, and it was actually a backhand one-handed interception, so it was just one of the best plays I've ever seen, and he was only a freshman.
Defensive back is just a part of Kane's catalog of positions at Canton. According to Lundstrom, offensive line is the only one Wallner hasn't played, and he's also served as punt and kick returner.
He's one of the hardest workers that I've coached, which is nice when you have guys that are super talented and then they like to work hard too.
It's why every coach in South Dakota is quick and unanimous to give Wallner top marks, something he proved on the field last year with more than 1,000 yards rushing, nearly 400 receiving, and 18 total touchdowns on offense, paired with 80 tackles and 5.5 sacks on defense.
Make an impact on every game. You can't really miss me on the field.
And something Kane proves off the field in how he conducts himself every day.
I pride myself just doing my best to be a good role model for those young kids, because I know I was looking up to all those other guys when I was a 5th and 6th grader.
Kane will take that work ethic to USD next year as a linebacker.
Pretty much laid out a blueprint of like what I can be there. Past couple years NFL presence as well at the linebacker position. It's pretty good.
And he's already working on a new goal sheet.
Get them back on the top and compete for national championships.
He is an impressive young man. Kind of reminds me of Scott Jones physically, and of course he's going to USD. Next up, we'll talk 11-man football, which always means the winter Warriors. We'll have a preview when Pigskin Preview returns. Well, there is no football program in South Dakota on any level with more success than the Winter Warriors, and expect more of the same again this fall. After all, they have one of the most talented players in the state who is headed to play his college football for the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. We're talking about number 88, Sean Hammerbeck, who lays the hammer when he's playing defense. He loved growing up in a community where Friday night football games are such a huge deal. it brings out the best in him and his team.
I mean, it's great. You know, you work your butt off during the summer just so that you can keep that tradition going during the season, so you can go win football games. And you know, after every game, you go out and everyone there just congratulating you. Everyone's just like, it's like a big family just watching the football game.
While Sean is excited about his future college career, he's laser focused on getting his Warriors back to the Dome and hoisting the big trophy and getting plenty of congratulations from that big family he was talking about. However, he's going to miss a few weeks with a burst appendix, so that's not good news for winter. All right, we start with winter, though. Class 11B, we're going to talk about the 11-man teams with Jason Andera, 605 Sports. He's been with us like every year we've done this.
Love
you were
it.
part of the magazine way back when.
Back in the day, that was my deal.
Yeah, you're the high school football guy. You're an expert. So
this is the time of the year I love to come out and show my face.
Me too.
Yeah, isn't it? I hide the rest of the year until football season.
Okay, is winner the team in 11B? Because I like Sioux Valley with Donovan Rose, the calf roper and team roper you just saw, as well. I think there's 2 or 3 teams that could win.
Sioux Valley's got a big line, and then they've got Donovan Rose hiding behind there. Their quarterback situation is solid. I think they're a very good team. Winner, on the other hand, coming off that state championship, they have that lore, right? Every single year you play winner, you go to their bowl, and it is really tough to play. And then when you have D1 FBS talent like Sean Hammerbeck, it's going to be tough. But their schedule is very tough the first 4 weeks.
Start with Hot Springs on Friday.
They start with Hot Springs. They've got Woonsocket coming up. They've got Wagner, a team who's really on the rise in 11B. And when we talk about Woonsocket, West Indian Springs, Sanborn Central, that's another team in the top 5 right now that I would watch out for, a really good quarterback in Holden Havlick.
All right, Class 11A. It seems like the same people all the time, or same teams. Canton maybe with Mr. Wallner?
I think a lot of people like Canton, and there's going to be so much focus on Kane Wallner. But that's okay with a guy like that who can literally do everything, right? Offense, defense, special teams, leadership. He really can hold that on his shoulders. So he is probably deserving of getting his team to a #1 ranking. I love Sioux Falls Christian, though. As many people as they have returning, nobody has a better offensive line in the state in Class 11A than them. And then they've got the Snyder back, and they've got great receivers on the outside. That's the team I'd really watch out for.
Okay, Class 11 AA. Pure. I mean, Pure, they're good again.
7 years in a row. They've done it with, 4 different quarterbacks over those 7 championships. Another new quarterback coming in this year. That's really the question mark, because they're solid. The rest of the team is solid. So if Caleb Lounsbury can come in and really right this ship and keep them going, I think they're going to be steady. This is not a year when another 11 AA team has like a super team just waiting for their chance. So I think that helps Pierre a little bit as well. But Yankton, T area has been good ever since they went up to 11 AA. I think those are the 2 teams that you got to really have to watch in 11 AA that could threaten.
Yeah, Pierre's got a sophomore that everybody's looking at on Division I.
Yeah, pretty good Cooper Terwilliger.
All right. 11 AAA. I have no idea on this one. There's several teams there. This is the one class I just really don't know.
Every coach I've talked to, every single one said, the last 3 years we've had an undefeated team in 11 AAA. This is not the year they think that's going to happen. So much parity. Lincoln lost all those seniors, but they had an undefeated JV team who practiced against those all-world players every week last year. They're going to be very good. I think Jefferson's probably the underrated team that maybe could come up at the end of the year and be really good. But Harrisburg and Brandon Valley, to me, are the 2 top teams in this class. Those are the teams with the most depth and the most talent at the top, the most college-level talent. And Harrisburg, for me, really is in the driver's seat at the beginning of the year.
How about Sully Schlimgen?
And then you got Sully Schlimgen. This O'Gorman team has the fewest seniors they've had on a team in a long time. Just 14 seniors. Sully Schlimgen, an unbelievable talent. He's going to get the ball and be one of their best defenders on the defense as well. And Jace TC comes back. He was an electric sophomore last year. So they've got some pieces. Do they have enough depth? They're really going to have to get that sophomore and junior class to step up if O'Gorman wants to hang with those top 4.
All right, there's 11-man football. We're going to come back with 9-man and preview those teams. There's a lot of talent there, including Mr. Meyer of Avon. They are defending champions. Stay with us.
He's been on our radar for a couple of years now for a spot on our magazine cover. We're talking about Isaiah Meyer of Avon, who led his Pirates to a state title. As a junior, he was the game's most valuable player. He's one of the most exciting players in South Dakota when he has the football. But he says that the Pirate defense could be the strength of the team this fall.
I'd say defense, hopefully. That's all I'm worried about is defense, because good defense makes a better offense. So.
He's not a man of many words, but he does many things. Meyer can score from anywhere on the field, which makes his team scary to play defense against. Watch for plenty more of that again this fall as his Pirates try to defend their state title. I'm joined once again by Jason Andera to talk a little 9-man football. Avon kind of, I don't want to say came out of nowhere last year, but they were not anticipated. There's going to be no surprise element with this year.
They've been developing, and then Isaiah Meyer really kick-started that when he came over. And his brother played a big role last year, too, and he's a big guy who can provide some of that defense that Isaiah was talking about. So, yeah, no surprises from the Pirates this year.
And there have been some years where 9B maybe hasn't had a ton of talent. Changes big time because among the changes of teams and classification, a little old team called Canastota's down there this year.
They bring a lot of their reputation to 9B, but they've got some players to back it up as well. I think that's going to be a team to really watch out for in 9B. But I think there's some other teams. You could see Dakota, a team we don't talk about a lot. I think this is a team that's kind of ready to take that next step and not only maybe be in that Final Four situation, but maybe even get to the Dome with the amount of talent that they have coming back. And then, you know, Stellar Rapids, St. Mary, Harriet, Selby area, teams that have been in that top 4 the last couple of years, I mean, they're not going very far.
Yeah, West River 9-man football's really gotten better the last couple of years. We've seen Wall and Hot Springs on 11-man, too, in the titles. 9A, another team that moved classifications. Howard ranked number 1 in the preseason poll. They got a lot of people back too. Weston Remmers, Kepsel, a lot of the Feldhouse boys. Kind of surprising. It seemed like these guys would be graduated by now.
Yeah, you keep rotating some of those guys who have been there for a couple of years, won a couple of championships, been to the Dome a few times. But yeah, Kepsel is a really special talent on the defensive side, and then you put him at tight end, and he can do a lot. But yeah, Weston Remmers, Tate Miller, guys that can run the football. Howard's going to be in really good shape. But 9A is got some new teams in it too, and look at Platte Geddes as one of those teams who drops down from 9AA, and I think that gives them some breathing room to possibly have a resurgence year for the Black Panthers.
9AA Parkston was dominant last year. I think the total was 13 points. They actually beat Howard in the title game. That was really their closest game all year, 13-7. They gave up 13 points all year. Lost a lot of people though. Do have Coulter Kramer back, but do we? Some people think they're the favorite, but there's a pretty good team up in Hamlin, too. They got some challenges. They might not give up just 13 points this year.
Parkson did lose a big senior class, but Carson Summer, their quarterback, is back. You're right, Kramer's back, so they've got some pieces. Maybe not the line that they had last year that really vaulted them. Look for Elkton Lake Benton, look to be a real contender this year. And my favorite, Hamlin, they come back with Evan Stormo. They've got Zach Van Meteren on the outside, Jackson Wadsworth, just a ton of playmakers, and a big line to go with that. So if you're looking for the most talent right now, for me, I got to take Hamlin.
Real quick, who's a shocker that's going to come out of nowhere?
I think there's a couple. I think I mentioned Kadoka as one of those teams that could come out of nowhere. Platte Geddes in 9A, and in 9AA, I don't think there's a huge shocker in that because there's so many top-level teams. But Viborg Hurley, you know, they've been down for a couple of years. They're coming back with their quarterback, Schroedermeyer, related to Chase Mason. And if he comes out and plays anything like Chase Mason, I think Viborg Hurley could be a possible Final Four team.
Good on you, man. Good to have you back. Another year of high school prep football for Jason Andera. And we'll be back talking a little Minnesota and Iowa high school football. We'll have previews of those when we wrap up 2024 Pigskin Preview.
Well, talk about winning tradition. In Minnesota high school football, it starts with the Vikings of Minnesota. Over the last couple of decades, Chad Johnson's team have been dominant. I mean, dominant, usually led by one of the Hennons. And last year, they continued to roll, going undefeated, winning another state title, and this time with number 20 leading the way. I asked Ryan what it's like to play in a town for a team where expectations are always so high.
I mean, everybody always expects you to do well. Obviously, our goal is to win another state championship, but it's going to be tough getting out of our section this year. We got Bold, a really solid team. They didn't lose many players last year, but I think we can do it. Yes, it definitely motivates the team and just everybody wanting to do good and to keep the tradition going of the Minnesota football.
It's pretty impressive what Chad has done with the program at Minnesota. They're perennial powerhouse, and with Ryan leading the way, well, expect more of the same. He had crazy numbers last year, and didn't even play a lot of the time because they were so far ahead. Another guy we've also had on our radar, kind of like Isaiah Meyer, is Jackson County Central quarterback Roman Voss. He's not on our cover. He can't be until he's a senior, which is next year. I'm sure most opposing coaches must have thought he graduated by now with how good he's been from such an early age, but he still has another year of high school football left before becoming a highly sought-after QB. He can run, he can throw on the run. He's a very exciting player, and his team is going to be fun to watch again this year. Jackson County Central, led by their quarterback, Roman Voss. Those two schools right there. Minneota is the one that just jumps out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams that have good teams year after year. Hillsbeaver Creek's always good, Laverne, Pipestone, but Minneota just jumps off the board.
They're the Vikings. They are always on a conquest. They always overpower you.
This team wins championships.
Yeah, well, that's a low.
No, it's not. You said they're the Vikings.
Well, I think of like the Vikings who go on the conquest, not the ones who miss field goals.
I figured you were going to take a Chief shot.
No, I'm not going there. But no, they're just always a power football team. They've always had a big back who kind of runs through people. It's just a powerful football team, and you're right about Voss. I mean, I went to a game there last year. Granted, it was a pouring rainstorm. Just a tremendously talented team. Another team you got to give a shout out to, Hillsbeaver Creek. Yep. They were 11-1 a year ago. They seem to get to state almost every year. They'll be good again. And Laverne and Pipestone, we don't know what they're going to be like. They've been a little down the last couple of years. Battle Axe rivalry, though, probably one of our favorite rivalry games every year.
Yep.
Well, the last couple of years, it's been Central Lyon, George Little Rock. But that rivalry, speaking of rivalries with West Lyon, always seemed to produce a team in the state title game in the Battle of Lyon County. Jay Roseboom's team plays hard-nosed physical football, which is just what Tate Hoff loves, and that usually leads to the kind of season they are anticipating again this fall.
I think we're going to be pretty good. We return a lot of guys, and so I think we have the pieces to go far in the end of the season. We just got to keep getting better each day.
Yeah, I think they're motivated. Like I said, it's shown with their leadership, the off-season workouts. So I think they're motivated to be the best they can be.
There's no better coach in the state than Jay, who is back for another season of winning football. That rivalry is the best. You got to figure one of those teams will probably be going down to the Unidome.
I don't think Jay's ever had a losing record.
You would know.
Yeah, I really don't. Whatever. Hey, we got some big news again for Metro Sports.
Yep.
Want to talk about
Metro
that?
Sports. Of course, we were streaming them the last couple of years here on our Dakota News Now website. You can now watch them live on your TV on Outlaw 13.2. So again, you can still stream them on Dakota News Now on our Dakota News Now app, dakotanewsnow.com. But you can also watch it live on Outlaw 13.2. Our first game, kind of a big one. It's got a little history. It's something called the Dakota Bowl. You heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah. I was there for the very first one.
Yeah, I've heard it's a rather big game. It's O'Gorman and Harrisburg, too, which, just, again, a top-ranked matchup, so that'll be fun. That's Saturday, August 31st. And, again, great season. We'll also have some games in the winter, too. We're anticipating for basketball season.
All right, so, again, Football Friday, this Friday. Historic night for me. Two of my grandsons are playing for Sioux Falls Lutheran. Never thought I would see the day. So we'll have highlights of that game for you.
Congrats, Mark.
See you
Congrats,
Friday.
Grandpa.